Greetings. My name is Dorielle Inez Larrier, and I am the host of the Lott Carey Wise Digital Couch. Welcome to episode 58, where we will be engaged in conversation with Reverend Karl B. Johnson. It's good to see everyone here. I will let you know that this is a pre-recording. It will actually be airing on the appointed date of December 4th, 2025 at 7 p.m. But I will actually be in the comments at that time so that as you're watching it in the pre-recording, you'll actually be seeing me comment along. So as you know how we do, I would definitely love for you to drop in the comments your city, your state, your church, shout out your church community, as well as, of course, where you're hailing from. And so without further ado, let me announce the people that we're going to be chatting with. So, of course, on behalf of our esteemed leadership of Lott Carey, and that being the Executive Secretary Treasurer, who is Emmett Dunn, our President, Jesse Williams, our first Vice President, Dr. James Victor, our second Vice President, Dr. Robert Scott. For the Women in Service Everywhere is our President, Dr. Brenda McBurrow, first Vice President, Sister Lynette Williams, second Vice President, Minister Brenda Troy, our team leads, Brother Monterio from Men on Missions, and we are ready to go. So tonight's episode is on what has happened just recently that we are still working on rebuilding, and that's rebuilding hope. And that is our topic tonight is rebuilding hope, Jamaica after Hurricane Melissa. So tonight we're gathering with open hearts and steady faith as we welcome Reverend Karl B. Johnson, who is the pastor of the Jamaica Baptist Union and the chairman of the board of directors for Trinity Evangelical Ministries. With Hurricane Melissa leaving deep devastation across Jamaica, damaged homes, disrupted schools, overwhelmed hospitals, and uprooted communities, this conversation is both timely and it's tender. Reverend Johnson will help us understand the real impact that's on the ground, especially how women, children, and vulnerable families are navigating this crisis. And as always, Lott Carey is showing with hands and feet and finances how we are walking beside our partners with prayer, presence, and practical support. Please help me welcome to our stage, our digital couch on Thursday, our Thursdays in Black, where we advocate by wearing black to show that we are in support of the eradication of gender-based violence across the world. So join us in this conversation. Welcome, Reverend Karl B. Johnson.
Hi, Doriel.
Greetings,
Um,
sir.
Good greetings and hi to your audience. Since you have let the secret out that this is a pre-recorded chat, if I had called to mind that you were conscious and aware of the Thursdays in Black program, I would have dressed accordingly. I was part of the thinking that gave rise to that many moons ago, and been
Yeah.
wearing black for ever since on a Thursday. So please, I apologize for the
No,
absence
that's
of my
perfectly
black
fine. That's
today.
perfectly fine. Listen, we walk around in our black skin all day. That's good enough. I
Yes,
appreciate you.
yes.
All right, greetings. So, Reverend Johnson, if there's anything that I have not said about the titles that you carry, r- excuse me, right now, please add on because you have been in this work for many a moon, many a sun, many a season. So please let us know before we get into this current conversation, the trajectory of your involvement. Um,
No, I mean that's fine. You know my name. I'm Karl Johnson. I I'm a Christian. I'm a Jamaican. I am a pastor. I have served in the church's leadership at different levels, nationally in Jamaica, regionally, and internationally. I now just happen to be the chair of the Worldwide Baptist Movement, the Baptist World Alliance, what the office that would have been called president just a few months ago. But I'm just a simple servant, just trying to be faithful. I no longer serve the Baptist Union in Jamaica as its general secretary, as its chief executive officer. I'm now back in the local congregation, which is where my heart is.
So in essence, you're back on the front lines, literally and figuratively, and you are the hands and boots on the ground.
Well, I'm sitting, crying, laughing with the people. I'm on the ground. I'm on the ground.
Amen.
Good.
Amen. Amen. Okay. So let's get into the conversations for this evening. So we are all aware and have been, I guess, gobsmacked, for no other word that I can come up with, of seeing, one of God's natural wonders, which can bring, if literally the wind blows right, it can bring a cool breeze and solace to someone who is warm and hot, but in this situation has gone further than we could have thought and has caused a lot of devastation.
Mhm.
So, Reverend Johnson, Reverend Karl, let me know which is best. Um, please,
Carl is
please,
okay. I'm fine.
yes, sir. I'll put a handle on it though, because that's how I was raised. So share the first 48 hours after Hurricane Melissa hit and what it looked like for the people of Jamaica, particularly the communities that you serve.
Well, the first 48 hours was a bit of a mixed bag for me personally. I don't know which was more painful. The fact is, I was not in Jamaica when the hurricane struck. My family was here. My wife was here. I was along with my colleague, the Reverend Merlin Hyde Riley, who many Lott Carey persons know. They would see the two of us representing the Lott Carey work in Jamaica at the annual sessions. So they would know her. She actually succeeded me in the chair as general secretary, first woman to be so appointed. But we actually were in Egypt attending a World Council of Churches event when the hurricane struck. And for me, being away, as I said, I'm not sure whether it was worse, but it's an indescribable feeling because when you're not here, you're relying on third hand, second hand experience, and you're trying to get real time updates, and you can't hear quickly enough. But eventually, the the impact of the hurricane did not really begin to hit home until perhaps 2 or 3 days later when images
Mm,
started to come out. But the worst part is that whatever image you have seen on YouTube or the social media platforms, they are nothing compared to being physically on ground zero. They can't capture it. The A picture is worth 1,000 words. I know that adage, but unless you're there to see and feel the destruction, there are no words. I mean, I think we have exhausted all the lexicon. We can't find enough words to put into any coherent and comprehensive manner to say this is what happened. Just to see places that you're accustomed to disappear. I mean,
Mm.
you see structures and homes and communities just submerged underwater. It's 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 just it's unbelievable and it's indescribable.
So I was actually in a conversation just yesterday to prepare for this. I was actually getting my hair cut, and there was a brother who is in the space who is from Jamaica, and I said I was going to have a conversation, and I said, share what you heard, from what the parish or the town, that the township that he's from. I think he said he was from St. Thomas, and he said, and I was trying to describe it. So as you said, there are no words that can explain what it is that people were literally, and then he stands up to continue to explain, but he starts stepping through the room, but he's trudging as if his body was actually walking in, let's say, knee deep of water and gunk and sludge, and the way his body was moving, my literal heart like just sort of
Mm,
tilted over, because I felt just a tinge of what he was trying to describe.
mm, mm.
And then he went on to say that he had experienced, now, like, for those people who may have heard, this is a category 5. He had experienced, I think he said, a category 4 in 88.
Yeah,
Does
no,
that?
yes. The point of reference for many Jamaicans, the last big one was in
Mm.
88, but that was a category 3.
Oh, 3. Okay.
Category 3. The 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 difference with that and what made that so earth shaking is that it entered the east of the country
That's
and
what he said.
traveled right across the country. Now, if you want to give God a shout, shout him for this. If Melissa had taken that same path, we wouldn't be talking today. We wouldn't be talking today.
Say why.
Because what has happened is that the eastern end of the island, which, where the commercial hub is,
Mm.
the financial center is, we were pretty much unscathed in terms of comparison. It's a the southern western end of Jamaica that was totally devastated.
And can
And
you tell us I'm sorry, can you tell us the names of the communities that were hit?
yes. So
Yes.
parish wise now. So you would talk about Manchester, then
Mm.
you would talk about St. Elizabeth, and then Westmoreland, and then Hanover, and then St. James and Trelawney. Other
Wow.
parishes were touched. Now there are 14 parishes pretty much. So what I have described and itemized is 50% or more of our parishes
Mm.
that got this that felt the brunt of it. And can you imagine where it entered Jamaica, which was nearer to the tourist side. So our tourism is under stress.
Wow.
Our agriculture is under stress. Therefore, things like food security, just being able to feed ourselves that has taken a massive blow. And we depend so much on tourism.
Yes.
And many of the properties are now closed or limping. Some have
Hmm.
even sent home workers, and that's part of the reality now. So the estimated damage is running somewhere in the region of 9 billion US, 9 billion US dollars. Uh, that's a conservative amount. I mean, we can't even wrap our head around that. And beyond the monetary financial estimate, it's just the time it will take. Some are arguing that for any sense of normality to return, you're thinking almost at least 5 to 10 years. I mean, that's how
Wow.
badly. So we could just keep talking about the impact it has had. Now think of the children who just,
Yes.
I mean, the world just came out of the COVID-19 pandemic. The learning loss associated with the COVID-19 pandemic. And now think of a whole set of children at different levels of the education stream and unable now to go back to school because their schools have been blown down. The teachers are also impacted. So education has taken another huge blow. Talking about now the elderly, you're talking about the disabled. To this day, and I, I, I want to communicate a lot of what has been confirmed by the relevant respective authorities. So I don't want to go speculating and creating unnecessary drama. But the fact is, I don't think we will even know the extent of deaths we suffered because the thing just overwhelmed our systems. It overwhelmed those who ought to be responding. And so it's, yeah, we just pray that we won't see another one, and certainly not another one of this magnitude for some time to come. And we have to now, as a country, begin to prepare, because although I say we hope, the science is not suggesting that that will be so, because we are now in a climate crisis. We are
Yes.
in a climate crisis. And what countries like ours are experiencing is caused not so much by what we are doing, but what others have done. And we are just getting the bitter end of the stick. So for us, on ground zero, we don't have the luxury to speculate about whether climate change is a hoax or not. We can hold our hands up, but we are victims of that. We yes, we don't have the luxury to speculating, but we know how it is.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, there's, what I'm recognizing about, let's say, natural disaster, that which I have been able to experience, and I'm trying to find the best way to say non-natural disaster, where like the pandemic, which in my mind is not natural. So like in essence, like an act of God in this situation. Natural disaster, the flood, hurricane, natural disaster. What I'm recognizing is that yes, the spillover or the actual feelings about it can sometimes emerge from someone or a family or a community weeks, months, even years, because you have to really be present for that moment. And so if people are asking, how are you? Are you okay? Well, I see you're standing, but realistically, you're just reacting to the moment. There's water everywhere. You don't have time to recognize whether or not, your leg got cut, or you got jabbed in the side by something, and God forbid you're bleeding. You have to get out of the water, find your family, etc. So thank you for definitely sharing that. Yes, the women, the children, are their educational gap, which we started to attempt to weave back together, not necessarily fill the entire gap, because 2 years, depending on how long it took for communities and schools or houses of worship to be able to provide those educational opportunities, how long it took them to sort of, you know, get things back on track, if you will. Here, I'm in New York, and so we have some families who were experiencing from the islands to come here, and we're trying to work with them. And so yes, I'm sure that the domino effect, the avalanche, will have another layer of, let's do what we can to support. Let's see how we can fill in the gaps, and not just filling in the gaps, but also to be supportive as an educational community, socially and emotionally. To be thank you to Dr. Angelita Clifton, who did some great work 2 or 3 years ago about trauma informed care. How do we as churches, how do we as communities be aware and use psychologists and psychiatrists and therapists and mental health professionals, in addition to our spiritual leaders and advisors, to provide a good place for them to put their head on our shoulders, to open up our arms and to open up our pews and to open up our churches, to be those spaces of solace and those spaces of respite. So as people are working through the trauma after days and weeks and months and years, that they can say, I can't forget it, but let me see how I can place myself along the journey of recouping what I don't have, holding on to great memories of what I do remember, and trying to continue to move forward without forgetting what they went through, but to try to
Yes,
move
yes,
forward.
yes, yes. Well, one of the buzzwords, and I don't mean that pejoratively or negatively, but
Hmm.
one of the words that we are now hearing repeated over and over is resilience.
Mm,
Resilience. And the fact is, I think this experience has reinforced to us that building back better and stronger is
mm.
is more than just infrastructural.
I love that. I'm gonna type that in the chat. Building back better and stronger. I love it.
Yeah, it's more than just buildings and concrete and so forth. It has to address a lot of the psychosocial challenges, a lot of the emotional, the trauma that many face. Now, can you just cast your mind to a young child whose roof is gone, whose home is destroyed, but the rain still falls. And what happens when they hear and feel that water and see the clouds gather, the kind of trauma it creates. So we at the church I am at now, where I now have the honor and privilege of serving the Filippo Baptist Church. It's a historic church, over 200 years. We have,
I actually did some research on that.
oh,
I did that's a separate conversation. I did some research. I was like, who is this man, Filippo? What was he doing to
yeah, so you,
I looked that up.
good. Did I say no more? So what we have decided to do, because we are located in the part of the country that did not suffer this kind of direct onslaught.
Mm,
So, but we have identified communities in one of those areas, about 6 or 7 communities, and we have adopted them, and we will partner with them, walk alongside them, accompany them for the long haul towards recovery. That's
mm,
part of what we are sensing this call to do, because everybody has to just try and play their role. But one of the things we are committing to do when we make our first formal official visit in another week, week's time, week and a half, is to take along with us counselors and resources that can
excellent.
deal with the trauma in children, and the things like that. Because that is as much a need as hunger, as shelter.
Yes.
That is as much a need. We were praying that God will provide the resources. You know, this is the first time saying this, nobody else but the one who called me a few minutes ago. You know, just to say, well, God is in this. We are now planning to go to those communities, and it will take a lot of resources, financial resources. And I was sitting right here kind of saying, Lord, what will you do? And someone called to say they just sent an amount. And who could that be but God?
Mm,
Someone from your country. And it's ways like this that Lott Carey. My first exposure to Lott Carey was in the aftermath of another hurricane in 2004, Hurricane Ivan. And Lott Carey had a program known as the Pastoral Excellence
he's
Program.
excellent for it, right, Pep.
Yeah.
Yes, yes, yes.
And Jamaica was one of their stops. And so it was, they had come to the country shortly after. And, as you say, we met, and the rest is history.
Hmm.
And the synergy is that up to this point, the leadership that I have interacted with over the years, and the theology and philosophy of Misha synchronizes with the Jamaica Baptist Union's theology of Misha. And so while Lott Carey doesn't have a direct formal relationship with the denomination, because of the work that the Lott Carey work in Jamaica, Trinity Evangelical Ministries, and my and Merlin's involvement as leaders of the Jamaica Baptist Union, we sometimes just work as one. So I know one of the first, if not the first, body to have sent an expression of solidarity to Jamaica, to the Baptists in Jamaica, was Lott Carey. And it didn't come with the litany of things you have to sign, and because we have built up over the years a reservoir of trust that we know with whom we relate, and so I have a very deep regard and love for the movement, for the Lott Carey movement, and just thank God for the ways in which you have responded. Uh, and for me, it is even more than the quantity. It is the spirit and heart that comes with that, which we oftentimes can't measure in the usual tangible ways.
I thank you. Actually, I'm trying to hold my thought, and I keep reminding myself to think soft skills and soft, what you may call like intangible,
Mm,
um, uh, I'll use the word residue, but no pun intended. But now gonna explain why I said that. So
mm,
when we were just speaking a few minutes ago about the resources, right? So there would be, let's say, hard resources where you literally need finances, right? And so we'll definitely get to that. And then you also are going to need a team of people to come. I don't know. Let me step back. You might you might need more hands to actually come to help in the rebuilding, or not just the rebuilding, but let's start with the cleaning out, moving away, shifting. I don't know what those infrastructural needs are at this moment, but there is physical labor that could be called upon
mm,
in what is probably, let's say, the phase one of the clearing, and then the phase two, the rebuilding. But then there
mm,
are these soft skills, or softer resources that are needed. And that might look like, yes, the prayer, yes, the words of encouragement. But then in terms of the resources of people who are needed, it's not just, yes, we need like these people to kind of physically move things and like layer things or what have you. But you will need some people to say, I'm just here to listen. We're going to need, as we all have already noticed in these traumatic days, months, years that we've been through across the world, there's a growing need for mental health professionals
mm,
to be present so
mm,
that those who are experiencing these moments can just have someone to literally just look at them and just say, I am here and you are still here. Say what it is that you're feeling or thinking,
mm.
or wondering what happened. Yes, it did really happen, because there are so many, boy, layers and chapters and volumes of our story that, because life had to go on,
Yeah,
we've had to repress, we've had to
yes,
push
yes.
away, we've had to sequester, we've had to, downplay. And whether we're looking at Jamaica at this very moment, whether we're looking at another country that everybody came out of or is still going through the aftermath of March of 2020, but now an additional layer of something else. And so some people are like, hey, can we get a break? Like, can we get a
Mm,
break? What? So, you must be thinking that my shoulders are really big and really strong because now I have this as well.
mm,
So I'm thankful that you're recognizing that, yes, the ministry partners of the pastors and such that are needed to give prayer, that you are saying full out, as some may say, we need people to help we have the pastors to help with our soul, but we need somebody to help with the mind,
mm.
because nobody can continue to walk through this and they can look like they're standing up straight, but inside there's a whole lot going
Yes,
on.
yes.
So,
Well,
we're
we have tried to remind ourselves that we are not compartmentalized beings. You know, God made us whole beings, and because of that, we relish the fact that God gifts and resources God's church with that which we need to make us whole, since we are whole people. And you're right, we have realized that probably it took the church a little too long to to realize that, to downplay the strangeness of therapists and psychologists and the whole mental health piece. But I think we are getting there. For at this church again, the Filippo Church, we 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 have rolled out a program for the past 2 years, which we do during the time when the world thinks of Mother's Day and Father's Day, well, parts of the world. And we bring the May, June months together, and we call them a family octave. And we have a program, a series that we run that's dubbed Things Families Don't Like to Talk About. And we try to bring to the fore, in palatable ways, uncomfortable stuff, So we have looked at mental health, because that's a big hush hush. And this year we looked at abuse, the different kinds of abuse. So we're getting better at that, I think. And that's why in tackling this recovery and talking about resilience, we have to deal with the whole person, the whole person. And one of the points that I think you mentioned, when I would kind of tag it with this important concept of the ministry of presence. The ministry of presence. Just being there. And that's important. That's what incarnation is about. Now, I'm not preaching, but that's what incarnation is about. This is what the Advent season leading into Christmas is reminding us, that God became flesh in Jesus Christ and dwelt among us. But I would go off on a tangent if you leave me.
That's okay. That's
So you better
okay.
get
The spirit
rein
is
me
moving.
back
The
in.
spirit is moving. The spirit is moving, and that's quite all right. So I would actually, not that this was literally part of this conversation, but when you get to this May June period, and for those of you who are just popping on, or when you see this on the replay, so you're saying that in Jamaica, or maybe as a part of your church or the Filippo
Philip.
Baptist Church. Okay, so that in the May June period, while let's say here in the United States, where May is like the time that we focus on motherhood, June
And here
fatherhood,
too.
you're
And
taking.
here.
Oh, okay, right. Actually, right. I don't know who in the world like celebrates certain things, because some things are
Yes, yes, yeah, yeah,
stressful,
yes, yes, yes.
right? But that's very. I'm asking. Can you let us know the how we can, I don't know if you're streaming it or what have you, but how we can either pop in and see, participate, hear what's happening, because I think
Yeah.
that's beautiful for other for not other for communities
Yes, yes. Well,
to.
certainly, we'll stay in touch, and we're now on speed dial. You can hook me up.
We're in the WhatsApp live.
Yeah, yes, 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 yes. We have not
But
settled on the subject area for next year as yet, but certainly we will do. I I I have discouraged my folks from streaming via YouTube our our smaller midweek services, simply because, and I'm not. This is just me. I I I think one of the things COVID has done is taken away our space to just pour out.
yes,
So you're not pouring out and everybody is hearing from Australia to, you know.
Zimbabwe.
Yes, so that's what we still do. But we do it on Zoom, and we invite persons. So we'll be very happy to.
Excellent.
to have you on our couch.
Okay, not a problem. Well, listen, Lott Carey always wants to put their to again come alongside to wrap our arms,
Yes,
whether it
yes,
be
yes.
in real life or in this virtual space that we have, so that we can show support. And I'm very, and this is me personally, but also in the Lott Carey community, that people are taking the personal needs of their own community and responding to those needs in the time and the space and with the resources that they have on topics that in some other spaces and some other places, people, let's say, may have like been there, done that, right?
Yeah,
And so we can't expect everybody to be on the same page and in the same chapter and in the same book at the same time. But when, like, when the student is ready, the teacher will come, right? When
yes,
people
yes.
are ready for bridging those very tough conversations, then the opportunity for discussion will or can occur in a place of space that people will have their ears ready to hear what the Spirit is saying. Right?
Amen. Amen.
It, okay, amen. So let's wrap this conversation up with we and this is where I love Lott Carey for what Lott Carey does. And that is, we will be in the room if you say come. We will stand in the room, and if you say that shovel needs to be picked up, we will do it. If you say, we need curtains made or whatever, when we can do it, we'll do it. We don't presume to have the answers for what you need, but we have at the ready people, if people can make it, resources as we can get available, with conversations of leadership, of course. And so I'm prefacing all of this to say, when you say that you need us to support in the ways that we can, we are there.
Yes.
As people are preparing, because a lot of people here, we're standing, first of all, just still amazed, like we can't even imagine what's happening. What could we do? What do you need? And that is an ever evolving question, because people just needed for the rate, the wind to stop a couple of weeks ago. And so we know that people are still assessing what is needed, and that list is going to grow. So yes, we have some folks that are like, hey, who's going down? Who's sending resources? Who's sending money? What have you? Of course, people are directed to go to their local churches, to families that they know who are there, to Lott Carey, to all of these organizations. But as you have more of an ear to that ground than we probably do, what should we or could we be getting ready to prepare to provide Jamaica with support? And of course, I'm going to keep it Lott Carey for this moment. The churches or the communities that are impacted, that Lott Carey has structure, has invested time, talent, treasure. How can we support? How can people get whatever they need ready so that we can support?
Well, I think you kind of asked and answered part of it. That
But I need to
that
hear it from you. I can't presume.
yeah, that part of what makes this Lott Carey partnership so precious is, as I had hinted earlier, we share a kind of similar understanding of mission. So Emmett didn't really have to hear from us with a needs list before he just made a call and say, I'm sending this down.
Blessings.
Now, and that, as I said, it's more than just the amount. It's the spirit. It's the heart. Oh, okay. Now, you're right. There, we're still in the kind of assessment phase. We know that we have to rebuild lives and livelihoods. We know we have to rebuild homes and the sanctuaries.
Mm.
And we know that. And one of the things that I am encouraging anyone who would listen to me, from church to government, let us not make the mistakes we made in the past. It is easy for a temporary solution to become permanent, because once you put on that roof and the rain no longer gets in, you can forget that the roof was only there temporarily.
Mm. Mm.
And I think I know that Reverend Merlin, who, as I said, leads the Baptist Union now. I know she is down that path of doing it the right way, for that is proper stewardship. And this church that I know, Pastor, they have already agreed with me that in the communities where we are helping, we are doing it the right way.
Amen.
It will take a longer time. So we may not be able to say until some months down to a Lott Carey, well, listen, we we are going to be targeting X number of churches. It's over 90 of our congregations, our sanctuaries, that have been damaged. 90.
Mm.
And that ranges from total destruction to serious damage. So just to develop a program of recovery will take time. Will take time. In the immediate short term, we have said to persons, yes, there there are loads of humanitarian needs, and persons have responded. Persons have responded. So there's a flood of persons who have sent things down. We we have said, let us not be committed just to provide these needs for the first 3 4 weeks, and
Right.
then we forget them. There
Right.
has to be a program. I mean, eating a meal today is
Mm.
good, but we want you to be able to eat tomorrow. Right?
Amen. That's, yeah. I'm gonna write
Yeah.
that down.
So
Yes.
so so again, using what we are doing here as a kind of model. When we go down, we have already gotten information from stakeholders on the ground, not those who are guessing. What do you need to be able to build back your economic base? And we are going to be helping those communities to rebuild their livelihood. One one person in a town hall meeting we had last week, just to from the community, with tears in his eyes, pretty much, said, listen, when the hurricane came, my whole investment was in the ground. He's a farmer. It's all gone. I don't know where to turn. He doesn't want handouts. He's willing to work. So we are going to be taking tools and resources that can get him to start back that journey in a way that he can now feed his family. So yes, there are needs for clothes and shoes and and things have been coming like that. If- I I am waiting until I have a little more to say to a Lott Carey. Listen, two other churches in the areas that we are focusing on, they will need serious well, one will need total reconstruction. And so what we will need over time, do you have skilled experts in certain areas? We can get a
Beautiful.
team to come,
Yes, yes,
right?
yes.
And so we will be working out a schedule for when we
Mm,
begin that. And we will go. And that, I'm telling you, this will be, we, Dorian, this is not, again, this for us is not a news cycle. You know, we won't be on the news cycle again. We are off. But we
hmm.
have to live with this. This is our reality.
Yes.
And so we will always be turning to friends that we know will not feel harassed
Hmm.
when they hear the knock at midnight.
Mm, mm. And that I like that. So sometimes I go out for those people who are watching. If you see my eyes go to the side, sometimes the brother will say something or I'll say something, and I'm like, "Oh, I have to write that down." So I'm actually trying to type in the chat. So one thing actually I typed in was what you said about the May-June period and things that
Yes,
families
yes,
don't like to talk about. Number one, you
yes,
talked about mental health, and the second, you talked about abuse. So of course, we're looking forward to hearing more of that. Just to
yes.
know that you know other people are having those critical conversations. But then we were just sharing about this as we're thinking about supporting the communities in Jamaica. Consider this: it's easier to think about eating for today. We need to be preparing for people to eat tomorrow and next week.
Yes, yes,
And the reason why I wanted to make sure that this conversation occurred, as we're wrapping up and saying this the second time because I know both of us have things to do. But we at Lott Carey, we at Wise in particular, celebrating 125 years of service to the global community as women in service everywhere. We, I could not wrap up or walk out of 2025 without stopping. And I was begging, I said, please, it may not necessarily be a woman that I'm speaking to, which was supposed to be our theme for the year, but we need to make sure that we have eyes and ears on our sisters and brothers in Jamaica. And so, you know, thank you very much
thank
for
you, thank
for for,
you.
for saying yes and making your schedule available in order for this to happen. So, as we're closing out our schedule for this year and we'll start again in the new year, we may be turning this stream off, but Jamaica is still breathing.
Yes,
The people are still walking the roads. These children are working every day trying to figure out what we're going to get done today. I'm an educator. Educators, I know my sister and brother educators down there. They're probably saying, "Hey, whatever paper that hasn't been soaked, whatever pencil, pen, what we're gonna figure it out. We're gonna teach the children. Forget all this technology stuff. Let's go back to the old time way of rote memorization. How about that? All right. If our
yes,
schools have been decimated, this is what we're gonna figure out." Shout out to all, and I'm saying this in total love, but shout out to the people in the medical community and the health services community. We
yeah,
did see, of course, we only got snippets and dribs and drabs of, medical centers, wellness centers, birthing centers, clinics, hospitals that literally, they were there and now they're not. Roofs
yes,
caving in, water everywhere. It, it, we're speechless. We're speechless. And to those frontline workers in the health profession, in the education profession, and all those professions that service people on a daily basis for life, for
mm,
health, for strength. We say a prayer. We
yes, yes,
pause in your resilience. We pause to just take a breath for you, to take a breath with you, to be in silence with you. And if at this moment that's the only thing that I can do to, in my mind and in my soul, to try to connect, I wanted this moment to happen so that across the Lott Carey community, across the Lott Carey Women in Service Everywhere community, from the leadership, this is one iteration that I can be supportive in the moment. Because I can't call people down in Jamaica and be like, hey, I don't know who to call. But I know I can be still.
Yes.
I know I can send a prayer across these airwaves to let people know we're here, to let you know that we're here.
Yes.
And that as you continue to call, Lott Carey and Lott Carey Women in Service Everywhere, we will be here to respond.
Blessings. That means more than you'll ever know. It's good to have people who have your back.
And we have your side as well, because we come
Yes.
alongside.
Yes. Yes. Blessings.
Blessings. So we're looking forward to continuing this discussion and
Yes.
being as supportive as we can. So if there's any final word, we can wrap up. We
That's
good?
it. That's it. That's thanks for the time. Sorry for taking up so much more of your time. But
No, I was trying to be mindful of your time because you wear many hats. I wear many hats.
yes,
We
yes,
just
yes, 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 yes.
but we needed to pause and make
But
sure
it
this
was time
conversation
well
happened.
spent. It was time well spent
Absolutely.
for me. Bless you.
Absolutely. I
Bless
appreciate
you.
you. Brother Karl, stay right where you are. Let me just wrap up with the community here. Okay, family. So we have, again, this is a pre-recording. I will send it to the official stream on the day in the comments, which will be December 4th. I'm trying to make sure I don't mix up my days. But on behalf of the leadership of Lott Carey, on behalf of the leadership, Dr. Brenda McBurrow and her team for Lott Carey Women in Service Everywhere, yes, we are celebrating our 125th years of service to not just the local and the national community, but the global mission community. 125 years ago, a couple of women got together at the national convention and said, well, we want to do something. We want to be supportive. Maybe we're not in that room. We'll come up with our own room and we'll put our coins together, literally. We'll put our dollars together, literally. Oh, there's somebody across the world. There's somebody across the waters who needs our support. We may not be able to go, but we can send. And I want to tip my head. I want to put my hand, over my heart and say thank you to those original women who got together and thought it not robbery to take their time, their talent, and their treasure to be missionaries from where they could be. And that was where they were. So as we are wrapping up the 2025 year and this initial commencement of celebrating 125 years, it may be the end of the calendar year, but it's not the end of our celebration. So I want to say peace and blessings to all of you, to stay mission-minded, to remember that we in the Lott Carey community, we come alongside our partners, not just globally, but also right here across the street, the road, and the state lines. Peace and blessings to all of you, and we wish you well, and we look forward to seeing you in January. Please stay connected to lottcarey.org. This is also a giving season, so blessed holiday season to everybody. And we say good night.